Would you dare to eat a creature that has lived 150 years? Buried in cold mud just because it can be sliced into sashimi worth $300 a plate? The Pacific coast turns brutal. Icy winds cut across tidal flats. Men crouch low in the mud, eyes locked on tiny breathing holes, hunting for life hidden beneath the darkness. This is the geoduck, pronounced gooey duck. A grotesque giant clam, buried nearly 1 meter deep. It can weigh up to 4 pounds and outlive generations of humans. Each one can fetch $100 to $300. 2,000 of them $500,000 pulled from the mud, a fortune waiting beneath the tide. Treasure or madness? A living relic transformed into gold on dining tables. Is this the pinnacle of cuisine or the cost of desire? Subscribe to Now Discover for more stories like this. From mud, 150-year-old living treasure served as the world's most expensive sashimi fishing documentary. The tide retreats, exposing a battlefield of mud and salt. Wind cuts across the flats, the cold gnaws at flesh, and numbness creeps into bones. For the fishermen of British Columbia and Washington, this is where fortune waits to be unearthed. No shovels, no picks, no shortcuts. The geoduck is hypersensitive, and one vibration is enough to make it vanish deeper into the earth. The first man grips a high-pressure hose, unleashing water that blasts into the mud, breaking compacted sand and silt. The roar shakes the ground, a weapon that doubles as a warning. Beside him, the second man crouches low, arm thrust into the wet soil, fingers searching blindly for a siphon or shell. Too rough, the clam shatters. Too slow, and it slips away forever. Behind them, a third and fourth man stand ready. One washes the catch, clearing away mud, while the other transfers it into buckets of seawater, alive and intact. Each roll is essential, every movement synchronized like gears in a machine. A single lapse can break the chain, and the treasure is lost. It takes 5 minutes, sometimes 10, to wrestle one clam from its muddy fortress. Multiply that by 2,000, and a single workday stretches from dawn into the next dawn. The stakes could not be higher. One cracked shell erases hundreds of dollars. One mistake leaves only exhaustion and wasted time. The hose thunders. The mud churns. Fingers tremble in icy water as they probe deeper. Then resistance. The faint pull of a siphon. The stubborn weight of a shell clinging to the earth. Pulling a geoduck free feels like tearing a $100 bill from living mud. A battle between human force and nature's grip. And yet, the risks extend beyond the clam. The cold can seize lungs, cramp muscles, and drag men under when the tide surges back. Unlike crab fishing or tuna longlining where machines bear the load, this is hand-to-hand combat with the earth itself. The victory comes when the clam rises. Grotesque, dripping, priceless. But there is no time to celebrate. The tide waits for no one. Beneath the next stretch of mud, hundreds more geoduck lie hidden, daring the fishermen to test their strength and luck again. The hunt may end on the flats, but the journey of the geoduck has only begun. Each clam, fragile and alive, must survive transport from the mud to distant tables. They are placed into seawater tanks, carefully calibrated to mimic the ocean itself. Temperature, oxygen, salinity, everything must be perfect, or the fortune dissolves. Inspectors check every clam. Shells must be whole, siphons unbroken, flesh untainted. A hairline crack can erase its value, dropping it from $300 to nothing. Every clam is money, and every flaw is loss. Packed in chilled, humid containers, they are rushed toward waiting aircraft because freshness has no mercy for delay. From Vancouver to Tokyo, from Seattle to Shanghai, cargo planes carry living treasure across continents. Each shipment is a gamble against time. Hours lost on the runway mean dollars bled from the harvest. The fishermen know their mud-stained hands have built a feast for strangers thousands of miles away. In the city, the transformation is surreal. The mud is gone, replaced by the glow of golden lights and polished marble floors. Here, geoduck is no longer grotesque, it is elegance. Chefs rinse the shells, strip away inedible parts, and cut the flesh into translucent slices. On porcelain plates, the creature becomes art. Served raw as sashimi. Its texture is crisp, its sweetness unique. Dipped into steaming hot pot broth, it is hailed as ginseng of the sea. The price climbs again. A single clam turned into a $300 dish, multiplying into hundreds of thousands each season. But the contrast cannot be ignored. On one side, men knee-deep in freezing mud, gambling with time and tide. On the other, diners raising crystal glasses, savoring a relic older than their great-grandparents. The clash is stark sacrifice and luxury, survival and indulgence. And so the question lingers, is this the height of culinary triumph, or a fleeting indulgence built on the back of centuries-old life? The geoduck is more than food. It is a survivor older than memory, older than nations themselves. Some live for over 150 years, anchored in mud while generations of humans rise and fall above the tide. Slow to grow, slow to reproduce, it is both treasure and target. When demand rises, the danger of taking too much grows with it. Scientists treat each clam as living capital. Size, growth rate, shell condition, water chemistry, every detail is measured and recorded. A subtle change in salinity, a rise in temperature, even the shift of a single tidal current can decide the fate of an entire bed. This is why geoduck aquaculture is considered one of the most demanding on Earth. Every clam is a fragile investment. Every harvest, a test of balance between profit and survival. Geoduck harvests are tightly regulated. Licensed divers, seasonal quotas, and strict size limits ensure that this ancient resource is not exhausted, but sustained for future generations. Yet the pressure never stops. On the global stage, the race is fierce. Canada, the United States, and China compete to dominate markets worth hundreds of millions each year. Japan and Korea fuel demand with endless appetite for sashimi and hot pot. In this relentless contest, every shipment matters, and every season brings new risks to the beds. The economics are staggering. 2,000 clams can bring $500,000. But what is hidden in that number? Planes packed with seafood burn thousands of gallons of fuel, leaving carbon trails across the sky. Harvesting tidal flats reshapes ecosystems where countless other species depend on balance. The real cost is written not only in dollars, but in scars that may outlast the clams themselves. For fishermen, the choice is survival, a way to keep families fed. For markets, it is luxury and prestige, a delicacy to flaunt on glittering plates. For the ocean, it may be a slow unraveling, a debt repaid in silence when the beds collapse and the ancient clams are gone. The clash between wealth and nature is no longer abstract, it is carved into every hole, drilled into the mud. On the shore, men caked in silt stand motionless. watching crates sealed and loaded into refrigerated trucks. Their prize does not remain with them. It vanishes into cities they may never see, transformed into indulgence for others. The sacrifice is theirs. The celebration belongs elsewhere. And so the final question lingers. Is geoduck the pinnacle of culinary art or proof of humanity's endless hunger for treasures that should have stayed buried? Subscribe to now. Discover to uncover more hidden truths from the ocean's depths.